Look, I got a correspondence again that's dealing with another one of like, it's a reoccurring issue. So I wanted to make this video, and I purposely title it Sales is Greater Than Design or Product. Now, I don't literally mean that. I kind of just want to get people to click on it, and I also want people to understand the concept that I'm trying to bring home here. With streetwear brands and startups, people are too obsessed with the product, the design, and the story. Now, all very important things, whereas if I was selling pencils, they focus on that less and more of the other things like creating the product and the distribution of it. Product category-wise, I think in streetwear, when I have conversations with people, I got to peel through that whole part where they're telling me about the pitch and why their brand is different. Now, that's important, but you can get that all day from anybody else that you talk to. Once you get in there and start creating sales, the focus of my study for the last, I would say 5-6 years, is how do you sustain that and stay on top of it as a business. It's like a Visa commercial where it's like, oh, I started my own little small brand, and you're sewing it yourself, and you can do that if you want. But really, when you're dealing with mass production and have the ability to turn it into a career instead of creating a job for yourself, you're talking about a whole nother system, a whole nother mind shift. So for me, when I'm consulting with people, this is what I'm looking at right from the beginning. The correspondence that I had was this person basically had all of this work done in terms of developing the product, and then they were like, now I need your help with sales and marketing. And what I want to say, if I can catch anybody before they start the process of launching, is do it simultaneously. In fact, think of sales and marketing before you make the product. Because if you have a clear vision of what the product is, that's awesome. That's going to make that a little bit easier. But you need to have an idea on the other, not the creative side of your brain, but the other side of your brain. Or if not, partner or hire someone who can think that way in more of a clinical sense, and say, how are we going to move this product and these units? Are our margins correct? Where do our margins need to be before you even create the product? You should always have a target margin that it can't cost more than this, so that it works into your plan of your numbers and your logistics in terms of where that product is going to go. So I've said this before, but you got to do your due diligence in terms of sales. So what do I mean by that when I talk about that? What I mean is, you should have a database or a list, an Excel sheet of all the shops that you're planning to be in, want to be in terms of retail. And there's way more things you need to do in terms of creating rapport with whoever the owners, the buyers are of those shops, and making those connections. Because it's 10 times easier to have the connection, have these people as friends, or create some sort of rapport where they know who you are, and then create a product and then talk to them. Whereas I would say 8 out of 10 people will run and make the product first before even figuring out who they're selling to. Now, there's a lot, this is general advice, because there's a lot of different things that can happen, a lot of different weapons and tools. That's why it's difficult when some people ask for a quick answer to their question when you guys are DMing me or messaging me. I need to know more information about what you have and what assets that you have or don't have. But generally, what I want to press in this video is sales is greater than design, in a sense that that's going to move the product once you make it. You know, you can make it as hot as you want. You could even mess up quite a few times in the beginning of the process. But if you have a distribution channel where the product is going to, now you have legs to stand on in terms of establishing the business and then growing it from there. And whether that's selling direct to customer online as well, you better figure out what you're going to do in terms of SEO, in terms of, you know, having groups patron what you're doing. Maybe you start a blog where you have really compelling content so you have people follow that way. There's a lot of different strategies, but it takes a lot of time and energy. And it takes a lot of planning. So if you can have that going even before you start the product, is something to think about. Create maybe some sort of asset. Maybe you do a web magazine. I'm just freestyling these ideas off the top of my head. But you have to address sales and marketing I would say even before you get into the nitty-gritty of design, because the beginning of a clothing line, everyone kind of figures out what kind of product they want. That's almost like the easy part. That's like the fun part. That's the part you want to talk about. What I want to talk about is how you intend to sell the product. So you have to do your due diligence. Figure out the retail, figure out what your plan is, and put that into a very common sense way of saying, this is how we're going to move the product once it arrives here. For some people, I know that might sound very general and very basic, but you will be surprised how many people I talk to and don't even think of that. So please do it. Comments, questions, things to add to the conversation, drop them on the bottom. You already know. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Peace.